I often like to say that a city's mascot is the orange cone because you literally see it everywhere you go. What's being built there? We don't know, but it's somehow taking up half of the street for a whole year. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 things I hate most about living in Montreal. So if you're thinking about buying a house here in the near future, you definitely want to stick around until the end so you can learn about all the things that you should brave yourself for before moving here. So first up is, of course, the weather. Canada is a great country to live in if you enjoy winter's nature, winter activities, winter sports, if you live in the countryside. But if you live in the city like me, it is the worst. Very pretty when it just snowed, but believe me, it does not take long for the cars to pass by, turning the snow into this black sludge, which makes the road look really dirty. Also in Montreal, winter can easily last up to 4 or 5 months, and sometimes it can snow for days on end. Very tedious to maintain your house or your car if you don't have indoor parking. On days where there is now a snowstorm, you can see people going out shoveling their front yard every 4 or 5 hours to kind of prevent the snow from accumulating too much. Plus, if you wait for too long, the snow hardens slowly, turning into ice, which makes the shoveling a lot harder. Believe me, I had to learn this the hard way. And oftentimes, the snow could have accumulated too much on your roof or on your temple, so you have to remove the snow from there to prevent it from collapsing and crushing you in the process. There has been several stories of houses and temple collapsing from too much snow, so it's definitely not something you should take lightly when living here. Next up, something I absolutely hate about living in Montreal is parking. While Montreal is a great metropolitan city with a lot of transit options and a lot of biking trails, the parking situation is not ideal. Parking in the downtown area can get very expensive even if you park at a parking meter on the road. The parking meter fees vary depending on how deep into the downtown area you are. And when it snows, basically half of the parking spots are gone, which brings the parking horror into a whole new level. You sometimes see people on the street shoveling their snow to get in and out of a parking spot. Imagine going downtown with your car for dinner and then having to shovel your way out because you literally can't get out. On hindsight, it's a great way to digest your meal, so maybe I shouldn't complain too much about that. Moving forward, another aspect that can make parking a nightmare is construction. Montreal is a great city that's constantly evolving, which is great, but life can get pretty hard for people having to live there during that transition. I often like to say that a city's mascot is the orange cone because you literally see it everywhere you go. What's being built there? We don't know, but it's somehow taking up half of the street for a whole year. And when this construction is happening on the street, it can create a lot of detour for buses. We can double transit time for people who often take public transport. Now, if you think you would be spared from all this pain and suffering because you commute only by car, think again, because traffic in Montreal is also very terrible. Since many people commute to and from downtown on a daily basis, the highway and tunnels tend to get very congested throughout the day, even during the weekend sometimes. So you should expect to double, even triple your commute time if you are traveling during peak hours. Finally, the last thing that always baffled me about living in Montreal is how high the taxes are. But before I get into it, I just want to say that we do get a lot of benefits here which can justify the high taxes. Canada is one of those countries that have free healthcare, and especially here in Quebec, education is basically free until you get into university. And even in university is really not that expensive compared to other provinces or compared to other countries. So here's a tax bracket that combines federal and provincial taxes in 2023 and 2024. And as you can see, if you are a lower income earner earning less than $51,780, you get taxed for about 26% of your salary. And if you are in the highest end, earning more than $240,752, you basically get half of your money taken away. Of course, I am not an accountant. I am sure there are many creative ways you can deduct your taxes payment, but this is just to give you a general idea of how much taxes we pay here. There you have it, folks. The 5 things I hate most about living in Montreal. I have lived here my whole life, so I have seen all the goods, the bads, and the uglies this city has to offer. But Montreal is so much more than that. There are plenty of beautiful things the city can offer. If you're interested to learn more about it, you might want to check out my other video about what I love about living in Montreal, so you can see the great things the city has to offer through the lens of a local. If you have any question about Montreal communities or real estate scene, feel free to drop a comment, send me an email, or give me a call. I'll be happy to keep this conversation going.